Hello folks on YouTube lands, my name is Apollos, aka Jack, and in this video I would like to share some thoughts with you regarding the psychological phrase cognitive dissonance. This is a term that I believe can be used in a meaningful way in the realm of psychology. However, outside of the realm of psychology, I hear it being used primarily for rhetorical purposes, that is to present one's opponents as being irrational, unreasonable, stupid, however you care to say it. And I find much less value and benefit in that sort of use of this phrase. Now, underlying this phrase, cognitive dissonance, is an assumption. It's an assumption regarding how we, basically, as a society, we have an assumption about how people should be incorporating their values, beliefs, and behaviors into their life. And when they incorporate the values, beliefs, and behaviors in a particular way, they can be labeled as engaging in cognitive dissonance. Does that mean that they're wrong? Does it mean that it's not the truth? No, that's the thing. It doesn't. All it means, all cognitive dissonance is a way of simply describing a human behavior. The fact that, by and large, most people have or continually are engaging in some form of cognitive dissonance. And that is to say, for example, let's take a smoker. A smoker values the length of life, but they know for a fact that smoking decreases their life expectancy and leads to a whole host of health-related issues. But they still smoke. Granted, they have explanation, excuses, reasons, justifications for why they're continuing to smoke. But there is dissonance, discord between the value that they claim to hold and the behavior that they're exhibiting. And the reason why we call this cognitive dissonance is not to say if it's right or wrong, it's just to point out the behavior, this very human behavior that, like I said, most of us are engaging in some lesser ways than others. The consequences can be greater or lesser depending on the sort of cognitive dissonance we're engaging in. But like obesity plagues America. We know for a fact that if you sit around, you don't eat healthy, you don't exercise, life expectancy is not going to be that great. It could lead to a whole host of health-related issues. And yet we still don't exercise, and yet we still eat unhealthy foods. Cognitive dissonance. The list goes on and on of small and great forms of cognitive dissonance. Now, Tooltime9901 in his video, he uses this phrase cognitive dissonance in his video entitled Together for Peace, Jesus Fanboy. And in his video, the two assertions he makes that he attempts to present as being in discord are the first one is being the fact that we have scientific knowledge and understanding. And then the second assertion, he presents as being one that I have said. I don't recall ever saying this assertion, but I can in part understand why he might make the assertion. And the assertion is basically, he says that, I believe that our ancestors have given us all the necessary truths needed to live life. That is a very vague, simplistic assertion that begs a whole host of questions, such as, what truths are we talking about? Why are they necessary? How does these truths relate? How did they relate to our ancestors? How do they correlate to us, to our life today? So given Peter didn't appear to really play any of this out. He didn't ask any of those questions. He didn't ask me to sort of answer any of those questions. Then, of course, it's going to make it very easy to just present these two things as though somehow they're in dissonance with each other. But given how vague they are, it would seem to me that most people who are engaging in critical thinking skills would step back and say, well, that doesn't necessarily need to be in discord with each other. It doesn't. Ironically enough, though, I don't get the impression that anyone really who watched his video, some 5,000 people who watched his video, were thinking about that or even criticized Peter on this point. Granted, it was a 20-minute video, and Peter, you said a lot of stuff in 20 minutes. It's very difficult to respond to a 20-minute video when you're talking about all these different issues and responding to a video I posted up in 2007. A video which was highly poetic, which makes it a little bit odd, you know, that you would use that video as a basis for extrapolating some idea about how I understand Christianity to be, and how I'm engaging in some form of cognitive dissonance. Granted, I got from what I understood, you thought that I had just uploaded that video, despite the fact that in the information section I clearly said that that video was from 2007. I value science. And I value the truths Christianity has given me. Science, the empirical, presents a certain type of truth, uses a certain sort of language to convey it. Christianity presents a certain understanding of truth and it uses a certain type of language to convey it. I believe that truth can be spoken using language in various ways. There is no discord because my understanding of Christianity is such that the language it uses to convey the truths regarding how to live my life are not in any way dissonant from empirical truths. In some ways, that seems odd that I would even say that, because scientific knowledge, the empirical, doesn't give us notions of value and worth and meaning. It presents facts. So the only way that there could be a sort of discord is if, for example, regarding the age of the earth. But I'm not a young earth creationist, because I understand the language of the scripture as being such that it's not attempting to present itself in an empirical scientific manner. So why would I take the language of the Hebrew scriptures and view it through the lens of a scientific empirical manner? Yeah, if I did, well then, and I rejected scientific understanding about the age of the earth, well then, yes, that could be definitely a form of cognitive dissonance. How meaningful it is to tell someone that, I think it's not really all that meaningful at all. I mean, basically, all you have said in that assertion is you disagree with how it is that this person's, incorporating the values, beliefs, and behaviors that they have in their life. Okay, well, we all are doing that on some form or on some level or another time. People love the entertainment. They don't like the nuance so much. They don't like the complexity. They don't like sitting down and getting into the nitty-gritty so much. But they like to be entertained. They like to hear the ridicule, the simplicity, the vagueness, so that we can entertain. Not always so interested in meaningful, continual dialogue. The problem that plagues humanity, regardless of religion. Y'all take care. Peace be with you.